Where we serve, you've got to see the video in some of those areas. One of them is India. We serve 2 orphanages there. We met a pastor that was in Temecula for his schooling, and when he went home, he started Mercy Children's Home. Another person to start Jacob's Well. This is a good example of how we work with partners. Our partners for this project are India's Kids. They're with us tonight. They travel there all the time and check on the kids and make sure that the projects are being done and that the kids are well cared for. We work with partners in many cases because it supports our low-cost overhead structure. We have one person on staff, which is Gary Couch. He stood up a little while ago. Outside of that, we work with partners, other organizations in the field to ensure that kids are taken care of at the lowest cost possible. In Mexico, we have 2 projects. One of them we've been working with Casa Hogar Berlin. We've been with them actually for over 10 years. It was the first orphanage we began working with. Petra and I and Blake and Ashley traveled there years ago and got involved with them. There's 2 or 3 churches that go there on a regular basis and check on the kids for us. And Gary and I'll make trips to make sure the construction projects are done and make sure they're handling their accounting properly. The other project is the Mazatlan Feeding Centers. About 6 years ago or so, we met a pastor from Mazatlan, and he was connected to a church here in Chino. You can see the trend of how we connect with other organizations. He had 2 feeding centers and was trying to build a 3rd one. And Gary and I made a trip down there and took a look at the project and agreed that we need to fund the completion of that 3rd project. They currently have 6 feeding centers and 1 orphanage that takes care of children that are disabled. The feeding centers were built there to accommodate primarily single moms. Many of us have been to resort towns and the real nice area that you see along the coast. If you get in a car or a taxi and you travel several miles out into the town, you'll find some very poor areas, and that's common. And I said the single moms will make their way to that resort town looking for work. Even if they can find it, there's really no one to care for their kids. They're new to the town and they don't have family there. And that's what Pastor Carlos does. He brings those kids in and takes care of them in the morning. They can go to school and they'll come back there. And he'll feed them 1 meal or 2 meals a day if they need to. Some of these some of these feeding centers are in areas where the homes are literally built out of pallets on the side and they'll have a tin or a tarp roof. So those are the kind of moms that we serve in that area. We're working in the Philippines. If you look at the very left picture, you notice just a bare piece of land. We met the Props, Mike and Jeanette Prop, about 6-7 years ago also, and they had a vision to build a compound with 10 homes there. And we've been with them and helped them acquire that land. And to date, they've completed 4 of those homes and have about 40 kids in each one with a set of house parents. If we had a choice and we could start over, we would build this model in every single country, because having a small home and having kids grow up with a set of house parents is the best environment for them as they're young, and it's better for them for their whole life. So when we have the opportunity, this is the model we choose. We work with many homes, and many of them are very large, sometimes 80 or 90 kids or more. But the Props are doing a wonderful job of caring for the kids and educating them both. In Thailand, the first several years we served there, we worked with Sharon Porterfield in the refugee camps. If you're familiar with Thailand, it borders Burma on the west side, and the children that you see in that picture are some of them are children of adults that are in a disabled home that the director in the center there in the pink runs for their parents. And over time, more and more kids kept showing up for these people that couldn't take care of them. When we got involved with her, we funded the build of her dorm and some additions to her home to care for these kids. We've been with her ever since, and she's doing a wonderful job of taking care of the kids as well.